Special thanks to BigCommerce for sponsoring this video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Mike, and in this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step how to build a beautiful professional online store using BigCommerce. Now, BigCommerce is one of the tools we really like to use to build an online store because not only does it make it very easy, but they show you step-by-step pretty much how to make your website. And after this tutorial, you'll know everything you need to get your store up and running. So whether you're selling digital products or physical products, whether you're drop shipping, selling inventory, bringing a brick and mortar online, whatever it might be, maybe if you're just selling things around your house, it really doesn't matter. BigCommerce is a great solution for just about any business style out there. And this is a full tutorial for beginners. So we're going to show you everything from setting up the account in the beginning, to putting products on there, to designing your website, and making it look beautiful and professional. And I know I said professional, but I really do want to emphasize that this is something that not just small players use. There's big players in the industry that use this as well, such as Ben & Jerry's and Woolrich and Skullcandy and a lot of other big brands out there that are using BigCommerce to build their websites. And I'll show you some examples of that later on in this video. But with that being said, I'm going to jump over to my laptop right now. We can get started with this. Feel free to take out a pencil and paper and take notes. And again, something I say in all of my tutorials is that I tend to speak a little bit quickly. So if at any point in this video you find that I'm talking too fast or too slow for that matter, YouTube actually has some controls like the little setting icon. You can change the playback speed to 0.75x or 1.25x and find the right speed for you. Now, with that being said, let's head over to my laptop and get started with this video. So right here, I'm just starting off on any browser, and what we want to do is copy the link from the top of the description below, or just click on it, it'll open in a new tab, or you could type in santrelmedia.com/BigCommerce. That way we can make sure we all start off on the same page and get the same free trial with this as well. So starting off right here, you can see that they're just going to show you their home page. We want to click on Start Free Trial, but before I do that, I just want to scroll down and show you that there are quite a few other big brands, like I mentioned, that are using BigCommerce as well. So for example, if we just go to Lark, you can see in a new tab, honestly, this site is going to be basically what we're building in this video. It looks very clean, look very professional, and it really gives you all the tools you need to build a really powerful website on here. Now, with that being said, again, let's get back to actually setting this up. If we click on Start Your Free Trial, it's going to walk you through some of the basic steps. And don't worry if this changes a little bit. They do change their homepage from time to time, but in general, you should have something that asks for the name, the phone number, the email, and creating a password as well as your store name. And the last thing here is going to ask you the size of your store. That doesn't really change a whole lot in this tutorial. It's really just going to change your dashboard and give you different things that are a little bit more accessible, but regardless, don't overthink it. Anything you click it, you can follow the rest of the tutorial exactly the same. And just like that, BigCommerce is creating our store. Okay, so next it's going to ask you a couple fundamental questions about your store. First, it's going to ask if we have an existing website. Right now, I'm just going to say no, what we're going to be selling. And again, this is going to really kind of help you, or help to guide you when you're finding like a template, for example. So again, don't overthink this. It doesn't really matter that much. I'm going to be selling coffee, so we could just go and try to find something that's kind of related to coffee. Food and beverage, I think, would really tie in with that pretty well. And what best describes, okay, so we're just going to say I'm not selling it. We're just setting up a brand new store. And that'll bring you over to the home page, which, as I mentioned before, is really going to be the only thing that might change dependent on the answers you gave earlier on. So right here, it's going to show you a nice little checklist because we're brand new here, and it's going to have us add products, set up to ship, accept payments, and then set up our taxes. Really the 4 fundamentals for any online store. And we'll get through those in this video, but I just want to give you a quick little overview of your home page here, and of course of the menu on the left side, just so you kind of have a layout of the land here and understand what your dashboard's really doing. So starting off right here on the right, you'll see that they're going to suggest a couple different things that people commonly do, like setting up an Instagram checkout, which is a great resource for BigCommerce. One of the great integrations I really like about them is that you can natively sell on Instagram and just sell directly through BigCommerce. It works really, really well. Additionally, you can list things on Google, and of course, they have tons of other integrations and plugins we'll talk about later on in the video. Down here, we can customize the theme, we can customize the page, we can fill out our profile, and they're really going to kind of walk you through some of that stuff early on, but hopefully this tutorial already shows you that, so you don't need to worry about those anyway. Then we have some quick little store performance metrics down here, and of course the orders listed on the bottom as well. And this is a nice little layout, but you can customize it if you need to, and we can talk about that later. But looking on the left side, if you look on the very top left, it says View Store. If we click on that, it'll open a new tab and show us what our store currently looks like. And by default, they're going to give you probably a template that looks something like this. We can change the theme, we can change how this actually looks, of course, but just right off the bat, without doing anything at all, they're giving us a template of a store that already looks pretty decent. They're selling like weird little things that are completely unrelated, but nonetheless, this is something, well, maybe not completely unrelated. These are related to coffee for sure, but we're going to customize everything on here. But it's just nice that you don't have to do any coding, you don't have to do anything from the start. You already have a shell of a website that you can then go and customize. So let's exit out of this and go back to our dashboard. Really, the first thing I always do when I'm building an online store is I configure the products. So from home, you can see on the left side right here, we can go down to products. And if you click on products, they already have a lot of products, as we saw, that are kind of related to coffee, but they're not the products I'm actually selling. So before we go and delete these, I want to actually just add a new product. Let's go through the process of adding one. So if we just click on add, the little blue button right there, it'll bring us to this little checklist right here, and it'll kind of walk us down each individual item. So starting with basic information, do we want this to be visible on storefront? Yes, it's going to be one of my first products, and we're going to call this, let's say, 1 pound bag of coffee. And we're going to have a stock keeping unit if you want. This is a SKU, and this is something that I generally do just so you can have a better idea. When you start to have a larger product library, having SKUs is always really nice. Then the type of product, this is a physical product. We can talk about digital products later on in the video, and the default price for this as well. I'm going to say right now we're selling this for $20 or something like that, or not $202, $20. If you have a brand, you can add a brand right here. This is something maybe if you're drop shipping, if you're selling somebody else's brand, if you retail, or if you have sub-brands within your own, you can add brands on this. I'm going to leave it blank because I'm just selling my own coffee. I don't need to add that here. And then, of course, the weight. This is going to be relevant for your shipping. So I'm going to say as far as ounces, 1 pound, so that's going to be 16 ounces. And then down here it has a bunch of different categories, but you don't have to choose one that it came with. Obviously, these are the ones that came with the default. I'm going to be saying that a lot here, but we're going to get rid of like bath and garden. Like obviously those are unrelated to coffee. So let's add a new category up here, and I'm going to call this one coffee grounds, because maybe we want to have, a couple different styles of coffee grounds. So I'm going to say done, and now we'll add that one right there. And we can add subcategories as well. So if you have a lot of coffee grounds and you have some that are like different kinds of like dark roast or Kona coffee or unroasted or whatever it might be, you can add subcategories as well there. And then below we have our description. Okay, so I added probably way too much dummy text, but something I want to point out here is that we have some other text tools as well. So besides changing like the font, which it is maybe nice to change the font of this, you can actually bold things. So I recommend if you have a larger paragraph like this, generally it's not best practice. You want to have bullet points are very readable, and you want to make sure that you're bolding things that are really important so we can add things that might be relevant. And of course, if we want to have like a little list, maybe like right here, we can say like homegrown, maybe like ethically sourced, like all kinds of things like that. We can add stuff like that. And additionally, one thing that I really wanted to point out here is that you can add links as well. So if we want this to link to a page that's like an About Us page, and we want to talk about our story, how we source things very sustainably, use less water, pay workers better, like things like that, we can go and add a link right here, insert a link, and we can link to whatever page we have on the site. Now, we don't have this page yet, but keep in mind, this is something later on you might want to come back and add to your products so that your products are a little more integrated with the rest of your site. Going down, we have images and videos. Of course, this is going to be, I recommend for every product having at least 4 to 5 images. There's nothing worse, at least for myself, when I'm shopping online, I find something I really like, and there's like 2 pictures of it. So you don't know, like, what does it look like if it's clothing? What does it look like on models? What does it look like in different lighting? Like, people want to see more pictures before they go and make a purchase, especially something more expensive. So for this, unfortunately, I'm going to go against my own rule of thumb right here, but it's a tutorial, right? So it's not actually a real store. So I'm going to upload some images. Of course, you could add from URLs as well. If you're, again, drop shipping, that might be the way to do that. And so right here, I have a whole bunch of photos of coffee. So for coffee grinds, maybe I'm just going to go with like this picture right here. Maybe we're going to add another image that could be maybe this picture. I don't know. Not the best pictures. Really, you want to have like a picture of like a bag of coffee that has the label on it. But again, this is just a tutorial. It's not a real store. I'm just showing you guys basically how to do that. Then we can add some alt text. This is something that's really going to be more so for Google to know what it is. So right here, we could say our premium coffee grounds. And then we can call this one the thumbnail by selecting that. But if we have a different image that we really like, we could either rearrange these or we could select which one is going to be the thumbnail. So I'm going to leave that just like that. And again, we don't have any videos on here, so no video selected. Below we have product identifiers, and this could be more complicated stuff. If you have a manufacturer part number, global trade item number, all types of things. Again, pretty self-explanatory. We don't have that. If you have it, you probably know that you have it. Then pricing, again, we talked about it was $20, and this is going to be just a classic default tax, or this could be a non-taxable product, depending on where you are. Always look into your local laws. Sometimes like food or clothing may or may not be taxed. And then below we can have tracking inventory. Again, one of the very powerful tools of using BigCommerce in the first place is the inventory tracking tools. The ability to really track everything you have, not just with the inventory, but get notifications and see different SKUs, how much of each you have. So let's just say in stock we have maybe like 200 bags of this, and we want to be notified when there's low stock when we get to about 20. And then below we have product options where you could have variations, or you could have other modifiers as well. So for this one, I don't have any variations, but we're going to talk about how to maybe add some if you wanted them. So you can add a variant option. And so we're going to click on add variant option. And this can maybe be like type. So if we want to have like finely ground, maybe we want to have unground, maybe we want to have coarse ground. I don't know, just showing you guys how to make different options right here. So we're gonna say save the variants, and then right here we can add an image for each one, we can add a different SKU for each one, and of course the prices are over there as well. Going down, we have modifier options. This is, as far as I can tell, very irrelevant for coffee, but if you have something like clothing, if you're selling t-shirts or sweatshirts and people want to add their name or their number or something like that on the shirt, you could have something that they're able to type in and add their own custom field there. So we can look, so right here, if you go and add a modifier, you can see that like it's a text field is one thing, you can have radio buttons, but text field's really like the main way to do this. And you can have something like add your name, and that might be custom, but maybe for coffee, you could add it as like a custom bag, like if you want to put somebody's name and like print it on a sticker on the bag. Again, I'm not really sure exactly how you could integrate that into coffee, but you know, that's how essentially that would work. Sweatshirts and t-shirts is really the best way to think about that. But then we have storefront details, which are going to be the keywords. I really don't like using search very much on websites. I think it leads to a lot of dead ends, but nonetheless, it's nice to add some keywords just in case further on down the road you decide to add or use any search features on your website. So for this, we can say coffee, we can say grind, we can say, and just add some things like that separated by commas. We can sort, then we have information with the warranty. Again, maybe I just want to throw in like a quick little warranty thing there. It's coffee, warranty doesn't really make sense. And of course, condition is going to be new. We don't want to be selling used coffee beans. And then you have custom fields down here, which again, you would probably know if you wanted to add this. I usually just add everything in the description, but sometimes there are custom items that you might want to add down here. I'm not going to do that. This could be like, for their example is wine vintage. You can have the year. So if you're selling coffee, you could say like maybe like source, source. And so maybe these are grown in like Hawaii or something like that. I don't know, really anywhere you want. And automatically show products related to my storefront. I think that's a good idea, just so you can have a possible upsell for anybody who is selling or is interested in this product. And then we have fulfillment. We said it was 16 ounces. We could talk about the size. So maybe it's like 4 inches by 4 inches by 6 inches. Really maybe 4 by 2 by 6 would make more sense. And then we have shipping details, and I'm just going to say this is free shipping just for the sake of simplicity here. And purchasability, this can be purchased in my online store. Makes perfect sense. Or you could say, like, something I recommend for anybody who is potentially trying to get their feet wet, they're looking to sell online, rather than making a huge investment in buying a lot of inventory, sometimes it's a great idea to just take pre-orders and start listing the product, start marketing the product, and see if there's any market interest before you get stuck holding the bag with all of that inventory. So I think that's a really powerful tool right there, that you can have pre-orders, or you can say maybe it just can't be purchased. Maybe it's something that is coming soon, or you can call for pricing if you're selling, I don't know, maybe yachts or something. So I'm going to be saying that this can be purchased right now. There is no minimum purchase quantity. If you're selling like little screws or bolts or something that has like much larger quantities, maybe the MOQ could be like 1,000 or 500, and you can also have a maximum purchase quantity as well. If you're selling, say, toilet paper in 2020, you could say maybe you can only buy like 4 or 5. I don't know. Anyway, gift wrapping is an option that I don't do that for coffee. It's not something that I would normally add, but again, another really nice thing that you can add as an option on your store. Just BigCommerce really seems to have thought of pretty much everything here. Otherwise, we don't need to, I'm not worrying about customers information right now. SEO stuff, this is going to be important. Now, this is going to be if somebody searches for this product, they search for fancy coffee shop, 1 pound bag of coffee, and they find my product that shows up in Google, how is it going to show up? So there's going to be a title, there's going to be a little URL, which is going to be like whatever my domain is, .com/1 pound bag of coffee. I think that is very clean. It makes sense. And then a meta description is going to be, well, by default, it's going to pull from the description of your product. But if you want it to be something a little simpler, you can add like about 155, maybe 200 characters, and that's going to be what shows up in Google. So just a quick example right here. If we just say if we say premium coffee, just to get any Google search, you'll see right here, past the ads, this is the title I was talking about, and then below there, this is going to be the meta description that I was talking about. That right there, meta description, is going to be the not blue font, a little paragraph below that further explains what the product actually is. So make sure you fill this out. I'm going to add just, again, the same little Latin dummy text that we had before. And then lastly, open graph sharing. I'm not going to really worry too much about that right now. We're going to use a thumbnail image, and we are going to say save. So now we have our first product saved, ready to go, and it's ready to be sold and listed on our site and everything like that. But keep in mind, we're still on the free trial. So we won't actually be able to do a whole lot with this website. We can't put like a domain on there and stuff like that until we actually go and upgrade. And so for that reason, before we continue any further, let's go and actually select a plan right now. I highly recommend select a plan as early as possible. Otherwise, you get to day like 14 or even 15, and if you forget to upgrade, you lose all of your work, and I don't recommend doing that. So here we have 3 different plans, and of course, there is a huge variety here, a factor of 10 actually. So from the standard plan of just $29.95 a month, all the way up to just under $300 a month. So definitely pretty expensive, but keep in mind, they are going to be offering very different things for very different stages of the business. If you're selling a lot, it might make perfect sense to go and pay a lot more because you might be saving money somewhere else. So they're giving you like custom SSL over here. They're giving you custom Google customer reviews, all kinds of other things. So as you scroll down, you'll see some of the basic differences between these. But for the most part, going with the standard plan for just $30 a month, you are still going to get no additional transaction fees. That's a huge benefit of BigCommerce here. They have full-featured online store. You're still getting the sales channels, so you can still sell on eBay and Amazon and use point of sale, which means you could sell like in person if you wanted to and just use a credit card and have people, essentially it tracks the inventory for you even though you're selling in person. You can still have gift cards and discounts and real-time shipping quotes. Like you get a lot of stuff out of the standard option. And so for this tutorial, for anybody new starting a lot of stores, and I mean, for the most part, I generally recommend getting the standard plan. If you want to get the plus plan, you would probably know, depending on your business, what you're actually looking to budget for. So I'm going to select the standard plan for this video. Obviously, it's just a tutorial, so I'm just kind of throwing my money away here anyway. But we're going to go down and actually pay for this right now. You can do either monthly or yearly. I am going to, again, of course, do monthly because this is just a tutorial. But put the information in, and then I'll see you on the other side. Now that we've upgraded our website, we have some other options here. And of course, the main reason you want to upgrade, first of all, not from losing your website, but the main one is that you can now add a domain and you can actually start selling things online. So right here, of course, they know that's why you upgraded. And so adding a domain, we're going to click on the blue button right there. And the domain basically is going to be maybe like mikesfancycoffeeshop.com or something like that. Looks like we have an error though, and it's going to say that we have to update our contact. So I'm going to do that right now, make sure that my name and email and everything else is up to date, and then we'll, again, continue. There we go, updated my contact information, and now I'm going to click on domains, and we are going to purchase a new domain. But of course, you could add a domain from somewhere else if you wanted to. You can get one probably a little bit cheaper if you go to like Namecheap or Google Domains or GoDaddy. There are plenty of places to buy the same domains. It's usually a difference of maybe a couple dollars per year. Usually it's between like $15 and $20 per year total for a normal domain. So I'm going to purchase one here just because it's easier. It automatically integrates. I don't have to do any of the DNS stuff and point to the domain. It just automatically does that right here. So choosing the domain we would like, I'm going to say mikesfancycoffeeshop.com. I'm going to copy that because that's a really long domain. Of course, it's available because why would anybody take that? And we're going to say next. If it's not available, of course, you could change the ending from .com to something else, or just I recommend changing the domain itself. Having .com is is usually kind of the standard. I really like that a lot better. And of course, here you can see $15 per year, very, very cheap for a domain. So I don't really see a benefit of getting it anywhere else. It's probably going to be approximately the same price from Namecheap or Google Domains or anywhere else. And again, all my information is still going to be the same, and we're going to agree to this and confirm the purchase. And usually after you confirm the purchase of a domain, you'll probably have to go back to your email and confirm your identity to make sure that, you actually get the domain and it's registered under your name. So now that we have our domain, we can go down and they have some other options right here. Add enhanced SSL, which is SSL is like the nice little lock icon you're getting on the top. You can get a professional email through Google Workspace. That's like if you want to be Mike at, what's my domain again? Like mikesfancycoffeeshop.com. If you want that email, again, something I highly recommend to at least eventually do, maybe not right away, maybe something that initially you're using like Gmail until you get a couple sales, but eventually having that domain as an email just makes you look so much more professional rather than dealing with customer service that's like a Gmail or a Yahoo or an AOL account. Like there's just a lot of red flags there. And I think in general, customers are going to feel more secure and confident in your brand if you're using your own domain for the email. It's just really the right way to do that. And of course, you can have additional domains as well, but that's pretty much all we want to talk about for adding a domain to this. Let's go back to our other tab. So I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to refresh this on our other tab, and we were making products. So we already have our first product right here. If we go back to view products, you can see that's the very top one. And the other products on here, well, we just don't need them, right? So I'm going to select the boxes on the left side and go all the way down, hold shift, and then click that one. So we have all the other products, and I'm going to choose an action. I'm going to say, let's go and actually delete these. Let's click on the trash can. Delete all these products. We don't need any of them. Obviously, I don't want to be accidentally selling something that is not a real product. And right here it says stock level. This is actually really cool. I like how they have a little graph that shows you how much is in stock just for a quick glance rather than having to look at the numbers and do the math in your head. Just a very digestible way to see what you need to order more of and what you have in stock. Now, let's talk about adding another product. So I'm not going to get too into adding like all different types of products because for the most part, I showed you almost everything that you have available for adding a product. But let's say we want to add a digital product now. This is another style that I think is very common, and I think more people than you realize will be wanting to sell things on there. So let's just say that the product name is going to be maybe like a PDF, maybe it's an ebook for some different coffee recipes. So maybe you say coffee recipe ebook. And we're not going to I don't need to have a SKU for this. We can have a default price. Maybe it's going to be like $5. And this is going to be a digital product. So digital product is obviously going to be very important to add that. And here, I'm not going to add it into any categories. I almost said coffees there. We're going to add the description to here. Again, let's say just an ebook. And we can go down, say for images, I'm just going to, again, upload just probably some random image. Maybe it's going to be like this one right here. That's the picture of an ebook. I don't know. I didn't make a book. I didn't make a real book. This is just an example here. So our ebook cover. And then the files, here's going to be actually what they're purchasing. So because they're purchasing a digital product, the digital product that they're going to be buying is the file that you're uploading here. So uploading a file, because I don't actually have the ebook, I mean, really just any PDF will do for this. So if you have your ebook as a PDF, that's what you'd upload here. And so I'm going to upload a file from my computer. Let's choose a file. And for this, I'm just going to find some random PDF and upload that. All right, looks like the ebook of choice for this tutorial is a media kit that I usually send out to potential sponsors. I don't know. I don't have any other PDFs, but you get the idea of how we're going to do this. So we're going to add a description right here. So this is going to be full 300-page and maximum number of downloads. I'm not gonna do that. But if you do want, maybe people can purchase it and they're allowed to download it like 5 times or something like that. Very nice. You can do that here as well. And you can even disable downloads as well after a certain amount of time so that people don't end up pirating this and sharing it for free with everybody that they know. So I'm going to save that. I'm not going to limit any of that for right now. And then we can go down and see product identifiers. Again, we don't have an NPN for this because it's digital. And the pricing, of course, this is not going to be anything I'm really changing there. And we're not going to track inventory either. So you can see how I want to kind of blow through this and just give you a quick idea of how to make a digital product on your site. So that's pretty much everything we need to know about products right now. The next things we can actually do here are actually go back to the products tab. If we click on products, we can go and view all of them, and you'll see that we have a couple little sub items right here. So besides adding or viewing, we can search for them, we can import or export. So if you have another store, or if you're making another store, then you can actually go and export and import and easily transfer the products, so you don't have to remake every single one individually. I don't have that right now, so we are making these individually. And then below that, we have product categories. Now, we already made one new category. So if we click on category, the new category we made was coffee grounds. And so if we don't want the rest of these, which I don't think we need bath or garden or kitchen or publications actually does make sense, but utility, I'm going to get rid of all of these. So we're just going to select all of them, click on the trash can, say OK, and now we're just down to the basics. And of course, if we look at any one of these, so if we go to shop all, for example, this right now is going to show us just a really fundamental, like, what is this category? So what is the URL for this? If somebody goes there, is there a parent category? What is the layout for this? And is there an image related? Of course, what's the SEO? So pretty basic. Most people, I think, don't end up on your category pages nearly as often as you might think. But if you have a larger store, this is how you'd go about doing that. So I'm not going to add that right now. We're going to go back. And it looks like we don't actually have anything in the other two categories. I'm going to go in and add that really quickly just by going back to our products, clicking on this. So if we want to edit, say, the ebook, we can click on that. It'll bring us right back to here. And I want to add this to the shop all and to the publications category. So we're going to say save for that. And of course, we're going to do the same thing for the 1 pound bag of coffee. And we're going to add this to the shop all as well. So that's going to be like a full library of all of our products. We're going to save that. But notice that there is a little drop down arrow here. So you can do more than just save it. So you can save and duplicate if you want to have multiple products that are very similar. This could save you a lot of time. For example, if you're selling a bunch of different sweatshirts and each one just has like a different image on there, then this would be a really easy way to save all of the warranty information, all of the pricing and everything like that. Of course, you could also just make that like a different variation of the same product, but there are reasons that this would be easier to do that. We can save and add another, we can save and view products, and it's just going to be like a quick little shortcut to do two things at once. Going down, we have some other items within the products tab as well, and this includes things like product options, which is going to, well, that's a little more advanced. I'm not going to cover that in this video. Same thing with product filtering, product reviews. If you want to see all your reviews, they will end up showing up right here. And again, if you pay for the more expensive version, you will be able to get Google reviews integrated very easily with your site as well. You can see price lists. Again, something that I'm not going to upgrade to enterprise to see that, and brands and import and export SKUs as well. But really, for the basics, it's going to be up here in these top 5 items as well as in product categories. So let's go back and move on down to the next thing here, which is actually making our site look a lot better. So by default, if we go back to View Store, you'll see that it probably looks even worse than it did before because we don't have all of the products. We just have the 2 products that we made right now, and everything else is incredibly bare. So let's talk about how we can really customize this and make it a little bit better for our needs. So below here, we can see the tab that says Storefront. So if we click on Storefront, this is going to bring you into another set of tabs, and the first one is going to be My Themes. By default, they give you Cornerstone Light. Maybe when you're watching this video, they might do something slightly different, but I want to add a different theme. So we can either upload a theme, or we can go to the Theme Marketplace just by clicking on the blue icon there, or over here clicking on Theme Marketplace. Either way is going to bring you to this page right here, and you have a lot of themes with BigCommerce. Another one of the big advantages to using BigCommerce is the very, very large library of themes, and within each one of these, so for example, this one, you have 4 different styles. Now, some of them are paid, like these are $100 to $200 to $300, but there are also plenty of free ones as well, so don't worry if you're on a tight budget because you have a brand new store and you don't want to spend a lot of money. You can easily get started without paying a lot of money either. So if we just select free on the top, you'll see that we still have a really large library of free ones as well. And within these, again, you still have like 4 different styles of this one. We've got 3 styles of that one. And mainly the difference in styles is going to be the color scheme. It's going to be a little bit like different fonts and things like that, but overall a similar look to the website. So let's take a look at these and see which one makes the most sense for our coffee shop. So let's just say that out of all of these, maybe I really like Fortune Highlight. I don't know. So we can click on this one. It shows me that there are a couple different appearances here. There's bright, minimal contrast, and highlight. Highlight's obviously the one I just clicked on. And like, yeah, I think it looks good enough. So we're going to actually use this one. We're going to add the theme. and we're going to actually apply now. You could add it and then add a couple and later decide which one you want, but applying it right now is really makes the most sense. So we're going to say confirm. We're going to apply it to our store, and we can actually go and customize this, but let's first just take a look at what the store looks like now. So if we go to view store, you can see right here that whenever it loads, that's the new theme right there. The same image in the background, the same thing going on, just a little task lamp or whatever sticking up there. But otherwise, it looks very different than it did just a minute ago. So let's go back and actually start to customize this. And when you customize it, you can move things around and really make the website your own, so it's not just like a default placement of the products that you made. So if we go right here to click on customize, we can, like I said, really start to change a lot. And that brings us into the builder. Now here you can see that we have on the right side essentially what our website is in real-time view, although they are showing like some little things that are different, like obviously this region right here wouldn't be there on your actual site, but regardless, on the left side we have two main things that I want to point out. We have got the widgets right here, which is essentially anything that's on your website, so whether that is like an image, a banner, a video, a carousel, a product set, all of those are what they would call widgets. And the second thing, I mean, layers is significant, but theme styles is the next thing that we're really going to focus on, which is how you can change the general colors, you can change the styles, you can change the settings, the navigation, the store title. You can change a ton of stuff in the theme settings down here, the theme style. So let's go back to widgets and edit one thing at a time. So if we want to add, let's just say we want to add maybe a little hero banner right here. So we can click and drag this over to there, drag and drop. And in this banner, you see as soon as you did that, it pops up with a lot of things you can edit here. So you can add a link to the banner, which is going to be that little button right there. We can choose how it's aligned, if we want it in the center, on the right side, or on the left side. Obviously, the image they chose has more stuff on the right side, so you want to align the text on the left side. That's why they did that, and I think it looks pretty good. Maybe that could be like a coffee plant or something like that. And as we go down, you can see how you can actually adjust what the image is doing. We can choose if the image is going to be filling the box or fitting the box. Of course, fitting looks really bad and very plain, so filling is, again, making the most sense for this style of banner. We can choose the size of the banner, very small. If you want it to be a little taller, you can go to medium or even to large. I don't really plan on adding a lot in here. I think maybe this banner would be something like find out about how we are sustainably sourced or something like that. And so let's actually add the text here. So if we click on text, we can go and actually just click on that and go to find out, learn more about our sustainably, and then click down here to change the the regular text, not the header. So you can say learn more about how, and then of course the button we can say learn more. And that button is going to go to whatever we chose the link to be, the banner link, and that could be maybe another page on our site. Maybe it could be like a Facebook post. It could be literally anything you want. I really think a page on the site is going to make the most sense, and we can talk about that later on in the video. So looking at these on the left side, we talked about how to adjust the image. We can add a parallax effect. I just want to point that out right here. If you want to have that on, essentially as you scroll, the image is going to move. And we can choose the image opacity as well. So if you have an image that you don't want it to be like quite as bright, you want a little bit more of the white background, you can change the opacity, lower that a little bit if you wanted to. And again, the text, you can change the color of that, you can change the size and the overall style of the text, as well as the color and size of the button. By default, I think this looks just fine, so I'm not really going to edit that very much at all. If we click on anything else on here, we can actually go and edit other items as well. So maybe this section right here. Now, if we want to add something below this that has more than just one column, we can add what they call layout. So if we click on a layout and drag it over, we can put it to maybe right down here. And this is not a global region. The global region is going to be widgets that will appear on all pages. It's not something that I really care about right here, so we can adjust where that is. But looking at the layout, like I said, you have multiple columns. So if we want like 3 columns, each column could have like maybe a different product. Maybe you could have a little, like a story of the progress. So you could say like first we go and like grow the beans, second we go and like roast the beans, and then we grind them and deliver them to your door, whatever it might be. You can add all the little widgets right here. And so maybe those widgets would be, like I said, they'd be some kind of like image or text, or I don't think product really makes the most sense there. So I think we could add image to each one. So let's go and add an image. And then maybe we want to also add some text right below that within the column. And this could, each one, of course, could be, like I said, like first we grow them. It could be like a sequence if you wanted to do that. That might be a good way to design the website. So once we have that, we can click on the back button. And again, going through these, we've got layout, like I said, which has all the different columns. Text is going to be pretty self-explanatory. Image, the hero banner is going to be what we have up here, which is going to essentially give you, like I said, an image, some text, a button, and a title. I usually think that looks very clean. It's a very common website attribute that we see. Most websites out there are using this at least somewhere on their site. We can have a carousel, which is going to be many different images or many different products. As you can see, something like up here, this is a carousel that is showing just some different images right now. And we can also go and add some custom HTML. So if you have other integrations, other things that you want to have on here that are not offered by BigCommerce, adding HTML would be a good way to paste that code and have whatever you need running in that specific portion of the website. And of course, we can have a divider or a spacer. Spacer is just going to give you more space. Divider is going to be some kind of a line to break up the page and make it look a little bit different. And moving down to layers, this is essentially going to be the layout of your website. And so every website builder has their own term for this. Some of them call them sections, some call it blocks, some call them strips, whatever it might be. Essentially, like this is one layer according to BigCommerce. This is one layer. This is one layer. And so each one, you can arrange where they are. If you go to layers, you'll see here's kind of the hierarchical tree of how your website is built. And if you want, for example, this to be somewhere else on your page, you can click and drag it down or up and move things wherever you want. So the header right now, the header bottom, like the global thing right there, should definitely be up near the top. So it makes sense that I'm going to move the other thing a little bit lower than that. And you can see that when you hover over it, it'll show you the 6-dot array on the right side if you're able to move it. Otherwise, not everything can be moved. So the two little layouts we added are something that we can move. And otherwise, there's not a whole lot that will be rearrangeable on here. We could add things, again, below there if we want to go and add some different widgets. But as far as the layout goes, that is going to be a little bit more restrictive. And then going down to theme styles, this is where you can choose, again, different styles for how it looks. Like I said, in the first place, we chose highlight of the 4 for this theme. We can also go and change the general colors. This is something that every brand should have their own colors. I highly recommend going in and changing the colors so that the primary dark color, the light color, like it's very consistent with your brand because obviously your website is your brand in many aspects. And then of course the store title as well. You can change how that's going to appear, the type, how it's going to look on the top. So if that's not your font, you can find out maybe if you're able to find your font on here and just use your own font, like your brand's proper font. And additionally, you can go to header navigation, change how that looks. This is really going to be a lot of color changing things in here, like the footer, the brands, like the product, all these different things are able to appear. Now, lazy loading is something that usually you probably do want for the load speed of your website so you can rank higher in Google. In general, Google will go and a little bit of a lesson in SEO right now. So Google goes around and crawls a lot of pages, and there's a lot of things Google looks at to judge if your website is a good website for people to go to, and if it's a good thing for certain search terms. And so one of the metrics they look at is the load speed. If you have a website that takes forever to load, Google kind of associates that with a lower or inferior customer experience. And so if somebody goes to a website that loads for a long time, like that's just not a good reflection for Google. So that's why lazy loading is a great way to allow you to load images on the top, and then as the person scrolls, it'll load the other things later. This in turn gives you a faster load time and helps you rank higher in Google. And then really the last thing to look at is down on pricing. You can show exactly what the text is going to be if you have different prices. So you have like the current price, if there's a sale, you could say like if it was this, or you could say like was and now is what they're doing right now versus price versus sale price. Like you can change whatever the text you want it to be, and that's how you'd actually do that right there. So that's pretty much everything as far as customization goes. Again, I kind of rushed through that a little bit, so you might want to rewind and see that again. And this is going to be probably a pretty big task to go through and start adding all these different elements to your website to make sure that you have a lot more information, it's fleshed out, and it's not just like a couple products randomly sitting on a page. Additionally, as you add more products to here, it's going to really fill out and look a lot better. If the 2 little products, that's kind of sad, but again, for the sake of time, I don't want to waste your time repeating the same things. I just made those 2 products right there. And of course, we can look at this. Another really important thing is to look at this in a tablet preview as well as in a mobile preview. BigCommerce is a very responsive website, meaning that it'll automatically adjust things if you're on a desktop or mobile site. And for the most part, everything should look very easy, like very good. It should translate over very, very well. But for example, things like this image right here don't necessarily look the best on mobile versus how it looked on desktop. You could see where we had that nice little graphic on the right side and the text on the left side. So again, because depending on what you're selling, it's very likely you'll have somewhere around a 50-50 split between desktop and mobile viewers. And so you want to make sure your website really looks good in both situations. Of course, tablet, it's kind of like the weird middle ground where some laptops, if they narrow up their windows, will end up looking like a tablet, and otherwise people might just use tablets. And then of course we can either save or publish. I'm just going to publish the web page as it is because, I mean, that's what we're doing right now, and our website should be ready to go with this. Now, we've been talking a lot about this coffee shop selling sustainably sourced coffee. And if you want to make a page about that, you can go up to the top left, click on the little page drop down. And right now, the only other page we have is shipping and returns, which of course you should go through here and make sure that you have your returns policy. They give you like a default one for shipping and for returns. But, you know, you could go through in here and make sure, first of all, that that is correct with what you actually want to do. And second of all, customize anything that you really want to. But let's go and actually create a new page. And the new page might be like our sustainability. And it's going to have maybe no parent page, and we can show this on the navigation menu on the top so that people actually know how to find it. And let's create this page. Now, this page is going to be a little bit more simple. Like I said, it's not going to have all the other things like the products all over the page like we saw on the home page. But again, if we go back, this one's going to be built very, very similarly to what we saw before, where we can just have the same basic widget. So we can add our title on here, so we can go and do that right here. Let's actually go back to desktop view. So we can go and add our title. We can go and add some text. We can add an image. Let's add an image below the title. And then below that, maybe we want to have some paragraphs. So we can add some text. And so you can change things like for the title, if you want this to maybe be like 40 pixels, and we can maybe make this a little bit heavier. We can make it bold. And so now we have a page that's going to tell you a little bit more about our sustainability story. So the title on the top, we've got the image right there, we've got some text. You can add right here another little 2-column layout. It's going to have an image on the right side, continue the text on the left side, and you can just continue that down and make the entire page as you would however you want the page to look. And so this is something that I think, again, is very, very powerful, so you can add more to your online store rather than just the products, but kind of build a brand, engage with people, tell your story, and make it otherwise a more powerful website. So that's something that I think is a great example of how to use the extra pages. But again, if you want to add other ones, you go up to the left side, click on Create New Page. I'm going to publish this one, and it should show up on the top menu bar once we're done with that, or the navigation on your home page. And so that's pretty much everything we need to do when we're actually customizing our page. We can actually go back and view our website in just a second. If we click on the BigCommerce icon right there, it returns here. We can click on View Store. It'll take us to mikesfancycoffeeshop.com. That's the domain. And here you can see that we have our entire website pretty much ready to go. So from our site, you can see that the navigation is slightly different than you might expect. So we actually have 4 items here, and there are sub-items below that. So if we go to, for example, information, we can then see our sustainability is listed there, along with shipping and returns, contact, and blog. So our sustainability right now, you can see this is what the page looks like. I'm not the biggest fan of the thing on the right side, how you navigate like that, but that's really specific to this theme. But as you go down, you can see that the page is, just exactly like we built it. It's going to tell the story of sustainability, how it's, whatever ethically sourced or whatever we do with our coffee. And so that, again, is a great way to manage that. The title's on the top, and if anybody clicks on the little icon, our logo, the text on the top left, it will bring them back to the home page right here. So we didn't really talk a whole lot about the top where you have that banner that's showing random things. We need to actually edit that now. So to do that from home, remember you go down to storefront, that's what we're editing right now, and the homepage carousel is that thing that's actually on the top, and it has these 2 images. I personally, okay, this is a little bit weird. I make these in PowerPoint just because it's easier to make like a wide graphic like that. I know a lot of people like to use canva.com. Some people use Photoshop or really whatever editor you like. But again, for me, just like PowerPoint's the easiest. I could save the slides as a JPEG. And then you actually have these slides right here that are going to be going through this. So right now, these, I think they look really bland. Like that's obviously, we're not selling lamps, so I don't want that. But we can get rid of that and we can actually add a new one just by dragging and dropping an image right here. Or we can select one from the computer, which is what I'm going to do right now. So let's just add, I don't know, maybe this image right here is going to be our next slide. And we can add some text on here as well. So ethically and we can add some other text. And so that's going to show up a little bit too far to the left. But again, you get the idea of how you're going to be editing that. You can add some other text on here, so some other text below that. We can have some button text if we have a button. We can have a link that our button's actually going to go to. Actually, this is not too narrow. The problem is that the image that I put in here is a little bit too narrow. The text actually goes all the way to the end of the slide, and it is like it should be, but we might want to actually change the image that we're using here. So let's go on to the next one and try a different image. Yeah, so there you go. Here we can change. And so essentially each slide you're able to add the text, you're able to add a heading, you're able to add a button, and of course the link for where that button's going to go to. And you can choose how fast it's actually going to swap through these. So if we want it to be like super fast every 1 second, or a lot slower, maybe every 10 seconds, I feel like 5's kind of the sweet spot there. And so I'm going to save this, and this is going to now be what's on the top. I don't really like that first one, so let's go and drag these over, click and drag these 2 slides over, and those are now our first 2 slides on our website. We can click on save, and just like that, I mean, this is one of the easiest ways to improve your website is choosing like really great images to go on the top. If we go back to View Store, now we have much, much better images up here in our little carousel, and people can actually go through these. So we go to the next one, that's what that is. So again, a major improvement right here. The way it's set up, I don't like how this is showing up down here, ethically sourced, and like, the text is going to be like in this big yellow banner, so we probably want to edit what that's going to look like. Again, that is probably going to be something that will go back to my themes. We'll go to customize, and from here we can go to the theme styles. And if we go down to home carousel, we can actually change the color of that to another color. And I feel like this should really be like some kind of dark brown, maybe. There we go. So maybe like a nice dark brown would be a better color for that down there. So we can close out of all these, and that should be showing up with a much better appearance there. Go and publish that whenever it's done. And again, go back to the little BigCommerce logo. We can go to View Store, and now it is a lot better. It's a darker brown. I don't know. Again, now the text is different. You really want to be going through and changing the colors for everything. So you get the idea of where you do that, and that's really where the theme settings would actually come in very handy, and you can change exactly what the colors are. For this text up here, I'd probably make that white if I'm using darker images. Same thing with this text up here. And so changing all the colors to look good, like you get the idea of where those tools are actually available. Next up, we have logo. So if we go down and click on logo, you can actually have right now just the regular text is our logo on the top. If we have an image, we can actually upload a custom logo. So if you don't see the font that you wanted, I showed you guys earlier how to change the font of that. If you don't like the font, or if none of the fonts are correct for your logo, you can just upload your actual logo here. And I think that's probably the easiest way to make sure that it's looking good and consistent across every possible device. Then we also, like I said, homepage carousel, we did edit that. Going down to social media links, social media is something that can help you, first of all, on Google by getting that recognition, the cross-linking there. But also, if you're trying to build a brand, it's nice to be able to interact with people on Twitter or on Pinterest or other ways that you can really engage with your audience and really build a brand around whatever store you have, whatever product you have. Social media is going to be a very, very powerful tool for that organic marketing. And the way you do that is you just like put the link in for whatever you want, and you can click it up here and choose what the order is for your social media link. So if we want like Twitter, maybe we want Pinterest, maybe we want LinkedIn. I don't know why we have such an old Instagram icon there, but maybe Instagram's on there as well. And then you enter the URL for all of those. Because I don't have the URL, I'm gonna cancel this, but you get the idea of how we actually go and add those. You can just go to like instagram.com/Mike O'Brien with 2 N's, and that's me, for example, and I can put that in here as well. Script Manager is something that you probably don't need right now. Web pages, this is showing us a list of all the different pages we have. So remember, we made the new one called Our Sustainability. If you don't want, for example, blog, or if you don't want contact us or shipping and returns, you can select the little box here and delete that page. Or you can actually go in and edit these as well. So I said shipping and returns. I showed you how to read that or find that when you're editing and change the colors. But if you want to actually change the text, you would go about doing that right here. So shipping and returns, you can go in and say maybe instead 3 to 9 business days or something like that. And we can say save and exit. And that's how we have the update to our shipping and returns. Then we have blog down here. You'll notice up here, that we can't actually delete blog because we have blog posts down here. And so you can add other blog posts, or you can delete this blog post, which is really a good idea because you don't want my first blog post there. And so you can just go and click on the little plus icon. This will add a new blog post. Unfortunately, the blog post editor is not especially advanced here. It's really pretty rudimentary, but it could still be a great way to gain some extra traffic and boost your website ranking in Google, whether that is recipes for how to make certain foods or coffee, for example, or it could be other blog posts about like why you're sustainable or different thought things, like whatever your blog might be. You can add a lot in here, show the author, show the tags, you can add a thumbnail and just add the text. Now the text, you do have some options for adding like bullet points or bolding text or adding links in there. Like you have plenty of things. You can add images here. Just the editor is a little bit more fundamental. So regardless, it still gets the job done. And then we can go down to Image Manager, not a whole lot that I need to deal with here, and gift certificate templates as well. So if you're sending out gift certificates for Christmas or celebration or whatever it might be, you can edit all of those down here. So let's go back, get out of Storefront, and that's how you're going to be customizing the majority of your website. And then we have marketing, which is incredibly powerful, and it gives you all types of different things from banners that can pop up. And if you create a banner, it'll go across the top and say like, save 10% if you use the code Mike or something like that. And you could choose if you want this to show up on the home page, on a specific category. So when you go to that product, you can choose brand, you can choose the results page for search, you can choose anything like that, and you can choose if it's visible right now when people visit your site or if it's not visible. And of course, you could do this on specific date ranges as well. So maybe you have like a Black Friday or Cyber Monday week sale. And so you can have this showing up and give that discount code during that week for maybe use a code and get free shipping, or use a code and get a discount, or just tell people something like maybe your website's under maintenance, whatever it might be. Adding banners is a really great tool. So then we have promotions, and there are two types here. The first one is automatic, which is going to essentially automatically apply the promotion to everything. So if you say in your banner, you just say site-wide free shipping or something like that, then you can actually add an automatic promotion that applies to all of your products, and maybe it's like a shipping discount, and you give everybody free shipping, or maybe it's buy one get one free for anything across your website. You can add that as an automatic promotion without the requirement of a code. So let's go and cancel that. I'm not actually going to do that. Usually what I would add is a coupon right here where we can go and add. So like if somebody uses the code, maybe use code Mike. So coupon code could be Mike. And this will give them some type of discount. Maybe it could be like a product discount where it could be apply % off to a product. So the customer will get one of this product. So maybe the customer can get like $10 off per unit when they buy some product. Or you could do it as like 10% off. I think 10% probably a little bit safer of a bet. So you can say like if somebody uses the code Mike, they get 10% off their order of whatever they're purchasing. And this could be something that you have a duration, like a start and end date for. You can have limits, so you can limit the total number of uses per people, or you can have per customer. Again, very, very powerful. If you're running like a social media campaign, this is something where you might say the first 1,000 customers who use this influencer's name as their discount code can get 30% off. And then after that, they're still driving traffic over, but you're not paying that extra 30% that you otherwise would be losing from giving that discount to the rest of the people as you did for the first 1,000. Of course, we can choose if it's active. And again, this is just a really cool tool. Promotions, mess around with it and see what you can do here. We've got abandoned cart emails. This is something that you need to upgrade your plan, unfortunately, to get. But abandoned carts is very, very powerful. If somebody has something in their cart, they're buying your product, and then their cat jumps out the window, or hopefully on the first floor, right? Or like somebody knocks on their door, whatever it might be, somebody gets distracted and they close their laptop, they forgot to buy your product. You can send them an abandoned cart email later and say, hey, you put this in your cart, like you liked it, and then what happened? You didn't buy it. And it's a great way to recover some otherwise potentially lost customers. Then we have transactional emails. We've got Google customer reviews, coupon codes. We already talked about coupon codes, email marketing, gift certificates, and selling on eBay. Gift certificates is something that, again, is nice. You can set up a gift certificate, an e-gift certificate system if you want. Something that I'm not going to dive into too much right now, but essentially, if you want to, it's just a very convenient way to add that directly in here. So I'm going to go and actually cancel that, say no. And that's pretty much everything I want to show within the marketing tab. Below that, we have analytics. Now, unfortunately, the website's brand new, so we don't have any analytics to look at here. We can look at insights, real-time merchandising. Like there's a lot of stuff you can really dig through and really kind of figure out what's working, what's not working on your site, on your store, and kind of optimize your site from that. As you go through more marketing budget and try different marketing campaigns, you can learn a lot about what's working. Similarly, you can just look at your website in general and see what products people are buying, what the customers are kind of like, and really learn a lot as you go. So again, if you're going to do anything with spending marketing dollars, I usually recommend starting off small, experimenting, and trying different things and figuring out what the right channel is and what the right strategy is before just going all in on one style. And if it doesn't work, you just lost a huge chunk of your budget. Below that, we have Channel Manager. And again, we've got a lot of different sales channels here. As I talked about, you can sell on Walmart, on Facebook, on Amazon, eBay, on Wish.com. You've got a lot of options. You can also do point of sale as well. And you can sell on social media and run ads on social media. So adding those channels is really another video. If you guys want to see that, leave a comment below and I can make another video in the future about how to integrate those things. And then we have apps. So BigCommerce has a lot of apps. This is something that we see a lot with website builders. And these are going to be great integrations with other things. These are things to help you with shipping. These are things to help on the back end. These are things to help. Let's just look at the must-haves, for example. And you'll see right here, Google Shopping. We've got things like live chat, where people can essentially chat when they're on your site. We've got Trustpilot. We've got a lot of big names out there that can integrate with your site. And these are nice little applications you can add. Most of them are free to add as well. And it's going to be something that really helps a lot with your site. Again, there's so many different ones. I'm not going to dive into them in this video, so let's close out of that. But just understand that that's where you'd actually go and find the apps right there. Below that, we have got Store Setup. This is going to be kind of the fundamentals of adding like currencies and payments, adding the shipping, the tax, accounting, and depending on where you are, the shipping is going to be different, the tax is going to be different, the payments, you might use different services for that. But this is where you, for example, you would connect maybe PayPal or Stripe, and they really walk you through that in a very easy manner. So if we go and click on Stripe, for example, it'll walk you through step by step how to set up your Stripe account, how to connect it to Stripe, so you can actually get paid when people are buying things with credit cards. So if we go back, below that we've got some advanced settings, we've got server settings, we've got account settings, and we have my profile. So I know that was a lot, but hopefully I showed you what you needed to know to get started with your BigCommerce online store. Again, I hope you took notes with this. If not, you can always rewind. I'll have timestamps down below so you can see specific parts of this video. I really hope you found this helpful. If you did, consider liking the video or sharing with a friend, anybody that you think might be interested in building their own online store. So thanks again to BigCommerce for sponsoring this video. I'm Mike O'Brien from Santrel Media. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.